think fundamentally something that could help, change, say, people's lives for the better, maybe, provide opportunities for those who previously didn't. As a program manager, you have the opportunity to kind of sit at a level where you have that line of sight to see how their work will fundamentally impact the outcomes that the larger program is trying to achieve. And like I'd mentioned, as a program manager, how do you ensure that with these timelines, with the number of people involved, and I think the scale of the operation, both I think with the number of people involved within Nurture, but also partners outside, how are you able to have that visibility of, how their work would fundamentally impact how well we execute on ground? As program managers, we could afford to do that, and it was critical to do that. Because everyone is, like I mentioned, everyone is probably looking at their respective line of work, but you need someone who's able to also look at the larger picture and work with these individual teams to kind of help them contribute towards. Empathy is important. We know that everyone is stretched in terms of resources, bandwidth, capacity, and it's not easy for so many people coming together. But I think fundamentally, being empathetic in your approach when you collaborate with so many different people working so many diverse backgrounds and so on, but also being supportive, but ensuring that you're calling a spade is important. The ability to see how the time I spend or the effort that I spend is really able to translate to impact on ground and maybe empower others to make better choices either for themselves or for the planet or for society at large, I think. And to be fortunate enough to say that your career is something that you're passionate about. I know not a lot of people get to say that, but I think this has just been the fundamental thing that kind of helps me get up and I think as a woman, I think that's very, very important. As someone who wants to build a career, is passionate about something and wants to kind of act on that, I think it's very important to have that support system. And having seen women laborers, having worked with women having worked with women who work quite closely with their local farmer producer organizations or collectives, just the kind of potential that they had. One is, I think, in terms of how actively they're involved in the sector, being as is in terms of their contribution to the sector, but how underrepresented they are in terms of having capable policies or having structures which are made for them or facilitate their participation. I think witnessing that firsthand kind of made me really believe in the initiative and the potential in driving something like this, especially seeing what we were doing as an organization and how is it that we can leverage technology there. So I think, just inspiration everywhere. It's important to take a step back to look at that and I think be grateful for that, either as, family, friends, colleagues, people you work with day in, day out. Resilience is very important. And I think building that spirit of resilience, not really giving up, on setbacks, but also having the ability or, inculcating the ability to take a step back to reflect on from time to time on, what's working, what's not working is very important, so that you're able to kind of do better when you know better. And for that, I think the value of pause and reflection is very important. I would say one thing that I learned, I think, especially in the recent few years, and I think it's really not to be really hard on yourself. It's important. I mean, sure, we all come in with some kind of commitment and some kind of drive to do what we're doing and working where we are. But I think I can't emphasize enough the importance of taking a step back to pause and reflect from time to time. I don't know if candor is everyone's cup of tea, but I think for me, I think embracing that, I wish I'd done that probably a little earlier. But it also learning to embrace that teaches you a lot.